It's definitely a boom-bust cycle with the almonds. Generally, when we're bringing them in, it's of course pre-bloom. To a honeybee, there's not a whole lot of forage opportunity.
If I have cover crop in the orchard already, the bees have access to a diverse pollen source. They can be producing pollen before the almond bloom, during and after, and that is very, very helpful to the bees.
There's ways you can see behind us where you can get better soil health, increase weed management, but also contribute back to the bee colonies with the nectar and pollen rewards that are coming off these plants.
If we can have the hives leave here healthy and being strong, that's going to help us next year when the bees come back.
We were having a problem with pesticide kills year over year in this orchard. They were flying over into some alfalfa and nectarine fields, but one of the things that came along around that time was the Seeds for Bees program, where they planted a whole bunch of cover crop. It really anchored the bees into that orchard, and the pesticide kills just ended.
Cover crops are becoming increasingly popular in California almond orchards, benefiting both soil health and honeybee well-being. Today, we are talking with beekeepers, scientists, and almond growers about how cover crops impact honeybee health and almond production. Can you introduce yourself and describe what you do?
Russell Highcomb. I'm a second-generation beekeeper in Northern California. We do a lot of almond pollination because we're right in the midst of it. And after almonds, we raise queen bees and sell package bees.
So you were saying that you put bees out into almond orchards for pollination. Are you noticing a difference between bees that you've put in orchards with cover crops and bees that you've put in orchards without cover crops?
For sure, there's a difference. We purposely feed artificial pollen. It's a protein substitute. And if I have a natural source, if these cover crops are blooming before the bloom, I don't have to do that as much. And it's far more valuable than the artificial pollen.
With cover crops, we're seeing a good variety of pollen. Instead of looking in those frames, you just see one mono pollen coming from the almond trees. You've got a little bit of color variety, nutritional variety. We definitely see a better nutritional portfolio for the bees when there is cover crop.
We have done studies, plot trials, looking at, I think, over 70 different plants and their ability to produce high levels of pollen and nectar. And what we have found is that brassicas outpace everything, especially when it comes to pollen. We were seeing an acre of brassica would produce 40 pounds of pollen per acre. It's also not too shabby when it comes to nectar. In our study, it was non-irrigated and we were measuring regrowth, but there were 10 pounds of sugar coming off of that acre of brassica. 5 to 10 colonies could be supported from the pollen produced by those plants. So brassicas really shine as an ideal forage plant for honeybees.
Earlier, you were telling me that sometimes you plant cover crops yourself. Are you planting that in like an almond orchard that you have, or are you doing that for your clients?
Yes, I will do it for my clients, and some of them call me and ask me to do it. I ask them, and some of them allow me to do it. I have a lot of growers that belong to Blue Diamond, and Blue Diamond offers a premium per pound for nuts if they plant a cover crop.
As a beekeeper, is that financially beneficial for you, specifically for your bees?
I think so. I buy a lot of seed and different kinds of seed, and I plant those on my property, and I plant those in places that my bees are going to be there for a long time. For sure, with the almond growers getting free seed from Seed for Bees, they're all about that. And I've had them do that before, and they got the free seed, and then the next year I went back to plant for them, and they said, no, we already did it. And so they saw the benefits more than what it was doing for the bees. And they continue to plant it every year, and it's fabulous. And I put my bees in there.
For growers who plant cover crop, I'm definitely inclined to give them the best bees I have at the best price that I can, and make sure they're getting a better price or as good of a price as anyone else. And they're going to be the ones that when I'm forced to choose because there's a shortage of bees, those are the orchards I'm going to go to. Year over year, I'm going to be loyal to them. They're giving us a benefit, and so we want to give them a benefit on their end and really be loyal to them. They're putting in these long-term investments into bee health. We want to partner with those people for the long term.
Jeff, thank you so much for coming out today. To start off, can you tell me how long have you been farming?
I've been farming for about 45 years, and I've been here at the Chico State University farm for 15 years.
How long have you been with Seeds for Bees, and how has Project APISM affected your cover cropping practices?
So 7 years ago when we started, it was with Seeds for Bees. In the beginning, I was a little skeptical about cover crops, and then I started working with Seeds for Bees, and it has been a very positive experience. It's definitely increased our pollination. It keeps the bees healthier, gives them another food source. With the flowers blooming early, we've noticed native bees coming in, so I believe it increases the bee population.
How do you think your beekeeper feels about having a cover crop out here?
Oh, very positive. He likes it. He leaves these bees out here a little bit after bloom, and so again, it gives them a good food source.
One of the things that we've noticed is post-almond bloom, we're not needing to get the bees out quite so urgently because they've got a little something to eat after that bloom is done. We do see that the bees are building up more brood, which means more baby bees, which means more foragers in those fields year after year. And a lot of times we've used those bees to then go and pollinate a secondary crop because they look really good. They're strong colonies, they've got good nutrition in the hive, and so we can feel comfortable sending them to the next crop, whether that be apples or prunes. We know that those bees haven't gone from one dearth and now they're entering yet another dearth. They've gone from having a good nutritional profile throughout the almond bloom, plus the cover crop that's helped sustain them, and then they're moving on to whatever the next crop is.
One study that stood out in my mind was a winter rapini in honeybee colonies. Rapini is a kind of brassica. When colonies were put on that winter rapini versus colonies that were not only was colony survival increased, but the workers were larger and their hypopharyngeal gland, their nursing glands, were also heavier. In addition to that, the queen's output of pheromone was higher. And what I think the brassicas do is they kind of give that push. Everything starts to move. The workers are more productive. The queen is cohering the colony. The brood nest starts to expand. And once that happens, I think that cascades down the season. A colony that comes out of an almond orchard that's been juiced up with brassicas, it will allow it to really grow into the next pollination.
You know, when the bees are eating the same macaroni and cheese 3 meals a day and going for long periods of just artificial supplement is not the same as having a natural abundant supply of nutritious flowers that are in bloom.
It's valuable because it's building stronger bees, and after the almonds, we're moving to the apples and the blueberries, and the stronger those bees are, the bigger they are, the better all those pollinations are going to be. And the more bees that we can generate to fulfill all those pollination needs.
Land is valuable, and so when a grower wants to plant pollinator habitat, they want it to be consequential. They want to make sure that if they're going to be putting the effort in, they're going to be delivering back to the beekeepers the maximum amount that they can.
I think it affects our bottom line. Having stronger hives definitely improves the pollination for the almonds and gives us more value for our dollar.
This has been a Seeds for Bees production. Seeds for Bees offers free or subsidized cover crop seed to farmers and beekeepers within the state of California. Beekeepers renting hives to Californian orchards can play a vital role by encouraging orchard managers to apply for free or subsidized cover crop seed through the Seeds for Bees program. Those interested in applying can do so at Project APISM's website.